Tom, thank you very much for the powerful words. Thanks to Robert and Sophie for the introduction. I'd also like to thank the entire AJC Paris team and everyone at AJC who's contributed so much to help make today happen. Despite the heightened anxiety and pressure of organizing a major event like this under difficult circumstances, everyone who played a role here, everyone on the team who contributed, demonstrated exceptional resilience and professionalism, and for that, I'm immensely grateful. And I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude and appreciation to the family of the late Congresswoman Nita Lowey, including her grandson, Elon, who may be here or is coming here. I want to thank them for their commitment to Nita's lifelong work and for their support of this conference and to help make all of this possible. Nita was a dear friend of mine and a remarkable public servant. I miss her dearly, and I am quite certain she would be thrilled with today's event. This conference, unfortunately, couldn't be happening at a more critical time. On Sunday, an attacker in Colorado threw Molotov cocktails at a group that was marching, calling for the release of the hostages that Hamas terrorists have held for over 600 days. His goal, successfully, was to set Jews on fire. He shouted, "End Zionists, end Zionists, and Palestine is free." This is what we have been warning against since the surge of anti-Semitism started post-October 7th. Just this past weekend, only minutes from here in Paris, 2 synagogues and the Shoah Memorial were defaced. These blood-boiling and raging instances of anti-Semitism from just the last 2 weeks are after what happened in Washington, D.C. Sarah and Yaron, 2 innocent, beautiful, beautiful souls, were murdered as they left an AJC event at a Jewish museum in our nation's capital. They spent their final evening surrounded by peers, Jews, Muslims, Christians, Israelis, Arabs, Palestinians, working to ease the suffering across the Middle East. Sarah and Yaron were stolen from us. They had their entire lives ahead of them. They were reportedly preparing to get engaged the very next weekend in Israel. Yaron already had the ring. This devastating anti-Semitic attack was shocking not only because these 2 beautiful souls were lost, but because we know that it could have happened to any one of us anywhere in the world, because our own sense of fragile security has been shattered. In the days following Sarah and Yaron's murder, as Jewish communities worldwide were grieving, mourning, and offering comfort, something else was happening. Jewish institutions, from synagogues to schools, community centers, advocacy groups, were reassessing the very security that enables our communities to live safe and public lives. Not because there were credible threats, but because we know that what happened to Sarah and Yaron could have happened at any synagogue, any Jewish event, visiting a kosher supermarket, or simply walking around. Here in Paris, AJC and the CRIF strengthen our security for this conference out of an abundance of caution. Why? Because what happened to Jews in Washington, what happens every day to Jews in Washington, D.C. impacts Jews in Paris. We are all connected, one people, one family, one heart. Nowhere in the global fabric of the Jewish people is that global fabric more vividly woven than in our 2 countries, in France and the United States. Together we are home to the 2 largest Jewish communities outside of Israel. 2 democracies where the crisis of anti-Semitism is among the most visible and among the most urgent, especially for the next generation. And by and large, that's you. I don't need to tell you that because you're living it. According to AJC's data, 1 in 4 French Jews say they've been the victim of an anti-Semitic attack, with young Jews more likely to be targets. In the US, 73% of Jews feel less secure than they did a year ago, and 56% have changed their behavior out of fear of anti-Semitism. Today's young people are the business leaders, the politicians, the doctors, the lawyers of the future. And because these young people are the future, our future, we cannot let this anti-Semitism and these attitudes take root among their peers in this generation. In the US and France, we need leaders to stand up and say clearly that it is unacceptable that Jews feel unsafe gathering together. It's crazy that we've accepted checkpoints and armed guards and metal detectors and tactical police units standing outside of synagogues on Shabbat as a normal part of Jewish life. It's not normal. It's not normal, and we should never accept it as such. This is not the way to live freely. If the only way that we can gather safely is behind fortresses and armed guards, then it is in fact the future of liberal democracy that is at risk. So the task before us today is clear. Just as France and the United States have stood shoulder to shoulder, and we're so grateful with our partnership with CRIF, we've stood shoulder to shoulder, the US and France, in war and in peace, in fights for independence, freedom, and liberty on both of our shores over centuries. We must stand together once more. This time, in the face of growing hatred that threatens not just the Jewish people, but the very democratic ideals that we cherish. Anti-Semitism is not only about age-old prejudice against Jews. At a time when extremist ideologies and disinformation are infiltrating our democratic societies, especially among young people, our shared values are chipped away. And this extremism provides a dangerous modern justification for anti-Semitism. It's what fuels violence against Jews. So we need you, our courageous, compassionate, and committed young leaders, to be the ones who mend what's been torn, to stitch back together our societies that have been ripped apart at the seams by anti-Semitism and hate, to remind our elected officials and fellow citizens that anti-Semitism is not just a Jewish problem. It's a crisis for our democracies and for our societies, that anti-Semitism divides us, that it weakens us, it breaks down our social cohesion, it impedes our ability to solve the real challenges that we face. Tomorrow marks D-Day, a day in which American and French heroes stormed the beaches of Normandy through a frenzy of Nazi bullets to reclaim freedom. But they didn't just liberate France. They liberated Europe and defended the idea that democracy and human dignity are worth fighting for. So during this conference, as we honor the memory of Sarah and Yaron, we also honor the heroism and sacrifice exhibited on D-Day, not only with remembrance, but by continuing the mission to protect democracy and to fight anti-Semitism. That work continues today at this conference with the connections you make, the lessons you learn, and the courage that you summon to lead your country to stand up to anti-Semitism. Let's use this conference not just as a meeting of people and ideas, but as an opportunity to meet the moment, a powerful demonstration of resilience and determination. Let's let this conference serve as a call to action, as a way to move forward. Let this conference be the next step as we build a better, more tolerant future for the Jewish people and society. And the next chapter of our history starts now. And as the theme of this forum makes clear, it starts with youth at the forefront. The next chapter of history is one where we are counting on you. We're so grateful that you are all here. It's an honor for me to be with you. Thank you very, very much.